Guys, I wanted to go see a movie this weekend. I actually went to one of those websites. I don't know, it was Fandango or Movie Phone. Oh my God, those websites suck. I'm looking around for a movie to watch. I want to go to a movie theater. I want to buy like a $40 thing of popcorn and stale Raisinets. And there wasn't a single darn movie I wanted to see except for one. And you know what it is, guys? It was the re-release of Back to the Future, the 50th anniversary or something, or 40th. Gosh darn, we're all old. The Hollywood has ruined everything, and I think they ruined cars. Is the car market next? We're going to find out. We got predictions. This is Bid Nerds. The bidding starts right now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. All right, welcome everybody. We are live in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. My name is John Polnick. Way over on the far side of the screen over there is my partner Michael Deeb in San Francisco. And who do we got? Special third nerd this weekend. Who's that, Deeb?
Alex Leventhal of the Stray Light Collection, the executive, the curator, the founder, and the driving force. Alex, thank you so much for staying up way past your bedtime on the East Coast. Welcome to the show. This will be fun. Over the next hour, you get to watch the entire arc of your career crash and burn by making an appearance on this podcast. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much. We're really stoked to have you on board. We understand that the Stray Light Collection is a massive collection of cars with almost no rhyme or reason except your heart and desire, and that you are not a cabriophobe. You believe in the convertible, just like my partner way over there. I've got to get my blocking correct. Talk to us just for a quick minute. What's going on?
Yeah, I love open cars, and really what is the focus of the collection is these are cars that were envisioned and built by a single megalomaniac, whether that's Enzo Ferrari when he was alive or Reeves Callaway, also rest in peace. You know, guys who had just a single-minded vision of something, didn't much care about, the market or business side of it, just wanted to build something great.
Super rad, super rad. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to have some fun tonight. We've got quite a docket. We have several reconciliations to jump into, and then we've got some cool cars lined up for the backside, the back five. JP, right. Are you ready to rock?
Let's do it. If you're new to the show, welcome. What we do here is we analyze listings on Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids. We take a look at all those listings. We take a look at all the photos, all the descriptions, and we will tell you what we think will happen as a result of those listings. That's the fun part. That's the predictions. We always start off every episode by going over the predictions from the last episode. We hold ourselves accountable. That's just weird, I know, but what are you going to do? It's the internet. All right, so the first thing we're going to do before we do that, shout out to Chris Carbine. Happy wedding day. He got married like the other day, right? Like on Friday or something like that. So congratulations to our good friend Chris Carbine, friend of the show.
Yeah, Chris Carbine made an honest woman out of Ann in Alabama over the weekend. I think they're going to take a little time to themselves, but we're excited to get them back. Congratulations to Chris and Ann.
Very nice. All right. You guys in the Nerd Herd watching live right now, make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like, subscribe if you haven't done it already, and let's get to it. What was the first car that we made a prediction on the last episode, Michael Deeb?
All right, JP, we are going to circle right back to this beautiful 1981 Renault R5 Turbo 1 that was listed out of Houston, Texas on Bring a Trailer. Our car showing 81,000 kilometers, which is just 50,000 miles for Americans. This is one of the original great Group B homologation specials, although never for sale in the United States. I will go on record with absolutely no evidence whatsoever in saying this was in the 80s, JP, when guys like you and I were in high school. This was one of the coolest gray market cars, certainly here on the West Coast. There was an outfit out of LA, I think, called Suncoast. I think that was their name, not to be confused with Suncoast Porsche down in Florida. But I thought it was Suncoast, and they were bringing these cars in the gray market. And, back in the day, they'd come in for like 75, and in the secondary market, they would bring 150. When we look back on the market for these cars, there's definitely some major stylistic differences between Turbo 1s and Turbo 2s. And now that the dust has settled on these cars, I wouldn't even be interested in a Turbo 2. If I had to have one, it'd have to be a Turbo 1. The interior of these cars, JP, is super cool. Everybody I know that's ever driven one swears by them, says they're awesome. Despite only having like 160 horsepower, these cars are supposed to be an absolute riot to drive. And I hope one day to park one in my garage, hopefully one as nice as this. JP, on the last episode, we checked in with our friends at classic.com, and they tell us that turbo ones in the secondary market, and this number is an international number because only a handful of the transactions that take place annually happen in the United States. Several of the transactions for these cars still occur overseas. The number for these cars in the secondary market on average is $145,000. JP, despite that number, I thought this car, being on a domestic title, being in outstanding original unmodified condition, and this amazing colorway of red with the blue carpet and the blue and red seats and the interior and stuff, I thought this car would get up to about $160,000 at Hammer, and then I wasn't quite sure if that would be enough for it to transact. Our good friend Myron Vernus joined us as Third Nerd. He was aware of the car, having been friends with the person who imported it, and said that this one was one of the best of the best. So my bid was 160. JP, your bid was 10 grand above mine at $170,005. And then Myron, because his friend was selling the car, recused himself from bidding so there wouldn't be any funny business. But he hinted at the idea that that guy was expecting more than our two bids. So here we go, Alex. We're going to throw you right to the fire. Have you ever driven or owned an R5 Turbo, one or two? And then would you mind throwing a number at what you think this car might have hammered for just the other day on Bring a Trailer?
I have driven a Turbo 2. They're wonderful cars. And I'm going to guess that this car was a no sale at 155.
155, no sale. And look at Alex is already acting like a venerable pro. Yeah, not only giving us a bid, but giving us a sale, no sale to throw in there. Just a little, put a little English on it, man. Like my God. Alex, you're right on the money. Our car hammered for only $140,000, where it failed to sell on just 21 bids. So your hunch bears out. And amongst the three of us, you were the closest. So you would have got that as a win had you been on the last show. Now, Myron was telling us, or at least hinting, that the seller was looking for over a number over our bids, which made me believe, JP, they were really hunting in that $200,000 range for the car. And John, you and the herd might remember my candid comments to Myron is, it is so hard with today's collectors, even the young American guys that are spending money on really cool, let's call this a Group B or homologation young timer car. This is exactly what's hot right now. How do you sell some guy on a French supercar, a French rally car? It's such a tough sell when there's nothing French in the market today. You know what I mean? Where does he make that connection that this is, legendary provenance, unless he's, searching out old videos? And so while I don't disagree that this might be one of the best examples and that someday this car might transact for closer to 200 grand, I also simultaneously am not surprised that our car failed at a low number, a number that's below the classic average at just 140. This probably is $180,000 to $220,000 example, but I think you need maybe the expert help of a panel at RM Sotheby's or Broad Arrow Group or Gooding or Bonhams or one of those guys that all have a book of collectors that appreciate and understand the value that is represented here. And again, part of that value is that it's already in the United States on a domestic title. But I'm not shocked by that no sale. I don't think it's a representation of the car. I just think it's a tough sell at Thanksgiving trying to peddle an old French rally car. JP, what do you make of that result?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I just don't think these were ever in video games, so I have a hard time putting this in young timer category, even though it does kind of make sense because it's an 80s and it's got all the 80s flair. The styling on this, I'm sorry, Ben Sayan, one of the guys in the Nerd Herd, I'm with him. He's like, I just got to say that the styling on this is just repellent to me. It's just, as much as I love 80s stuff, this Fisher-Price sensibility on the interior, it just looks like a Jack in the Box restaurant from 1980. They're never never going to make cars like this, though, ever again. And that's something that's kind of sad. I mean, you look at this thing, and it's got an engine in the back, but it looks like a hatchback. Everything now has to fit in a little box, pardon the pun, right? It's got to be either a sedan or an SUV or a hatchback or an EV or something. The idea that a manufacturer would say, okay, we're going to make a two-door sports car, kind of, but we're going to put the engine in the back, but it's going to have a hatchback too, that would just break everyone's mind. It's just never, this is the last time you'll ever see anything like this. What do you think of the results, Alex?
So I think the problem with this car is that this is only a car for a sophisticated collector. This is not going to be anybody's first or only collector car. This is going to be their 10th or 15th or 20th collector car. And that means it's going to trade in a very thin market, especially in the United States, where only people who really get it even know what it is. These cars are very, very hard to sell. And, maybe Goodings or Bonhams would have done better with it. But, if you need it to sell today, it's very tough. And the bid-ask spread is huge.
Does this thing need to go back to Europe in order to sell?
I mean, it'd certainly be easier in Europe, yeah.
It'd be easier, but the European market has a surplus of these cars, and this car winds up being rare and desirable here. But I agree with Alex. This takes a sophisticated collector to realize what the potential value is here. And again, JP, this could be a car that may transact for $200,000 next year, but I don't know if this car is going to continue to go up and up and up. This car might also begin to wane. I don't think that's already happened. I still think that we're celebrating Group B and young timers at an extraordinary rate, but this car will eventually wane in value, and that's tough to say or admit. But it's a spectacular car.
Yeah, Ross Churchhouse, he's been he's been watching the show. He's kind of the OG Nerd Herd member, and he asked, does it have a driving video? And it turns out it does. But frankly, it's just not very good. It's just driving through traffic, and this just does not sell the romance of something like this. Kind of putting us to sleep. Yeah. So anyways, there it is, guys. What do you think of the results of that little R5 Turbo? Should the seller have taken the money? Does he need to send it back to Europe to sell it? What's the deal? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on. What's the next car on the list, Deeb?
All right, JP. There was a pretty cool 1997 Acura Integra Type R that has been owned by the same owner over the last 28 years. This car came to bring a trailer by the good folks out of Monterey, California, called More Imports. Our car showing some mileage at 112,000 on the odometer, but the car looks to be in very good original condition without, basically free of modifications. In 97, only 320 Type Rs were built for the United States market. This is number 135 out of 320. So by the numbers, the 97 is very rare car indeed. This one does have a few miles, which is going to keep it in the ballpark. We have seen cars from 97 and 98, the championship white ones with really low miles in original condition, bring 100 and in some cases up to $150,000. But this one with over 100,000 miles, that odometer is going to really temper that expectation. JP, our friends at classic.com tell us that the average selling price of a Type R in the secondary market, a 97 or 98, is $52,000. I thought our car with a little bit of wear and tear and a high odometer would hammer at just $35,250. JP, you took the over at $39,999. And Myron Vernus, who joined us as third nerd on the last show, he split the difference between us closer to me at $36,000 even. So Classic says these bring 52, Alex. The three of us are all under.
Yeah, Deeb, I'm going to hop in there just real quick and just did you remind everyone that this is the second bite at the apple, that this car sold or failed to transact? This car I think it was just a month ago. I think it was in October. This car sold on BAT but failed to transact. The buyer did not come through. And how much did it bring that time around?
$37,250.
All right. So I think that's just an important information. So it failed. The buyer didn't come through with the $37,000. That said, now what do you think, Alex?
I mean, I think this is a $33,000, $34,000, $35,000 car. So we'll call it 34. Mileage kills it. They're cool cars, but the mileage kills it. And even on the screen, I can see lots of little nits to pick with it.
Yeah, it's an honest listing. And again, we always talk about how tough it is. If you're in that unfortunate situation where you get a hammer price and then your buyer doesn't perform and you have to go right back to market, that sometimes that second listing can be difficult. In this case, the four of us would have to eat a little bit of crow. Our car hammered for $43,500 where it's sold on 40 bids. So the second bite of the apple turned out to be a pretty good one for this guy, which I think is the outlier and not the norm. We would certainly not expect that to happen, but it's not unheard of. So JP, what do you make of this guy getting essentially 10 grand over Alex's bid?
Yeah, this was a classic case of two guys in the room, right? It was a heads-up battle, and really more than half the bids were between two guys that just went at it and got excited about this car. This car, kind of like what I was saying at the beginning of the show, Hollywood has ruined all the movies, and I think car manufacturers have ruined modern cars. This car, some people are asking, is this a modern car? Is this a classic? It's definitely a classic, because even though it still has that kind of modern feel, you can get in this car. It's got air conditioning, power steering, airbags, all that kind of stuff. But this is the kind of car that will, again, never be made again. Yeah, Honda still makes Type R Civics, and they even make 3-pedal versions, but the new versions have a radius everywhere. Everything's just got to have a little angle and a swoopy plastic thing, and they've got to have all this stupid safety stuff. This is kind of the last of the era. There's not much to it. It's a super simple, basic front-wheel drive sports car that's been shaved down, not a lot of weight. I just love how simple this car is, and it's great to see that a couple people really wanted it, because these two guys, with the car being with this many miles, means someone's going to drive it. Alex, what do you think of the result?
It's very well sold. It's probably unrepeatable, and the seller should be happy.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, let us know what you guys think of the Acura, and what's the next car on the list?
All right, JP, we're going to jump over to cars and bids. Doug DeMero and his team found a 2007 Chevrolet Corvette coupe. This is just a base coupe with a 6-speed manual. It does have the Z51 performance package and the 3 LT trim. The big news here really is that the car has only 17,700 miles from new and is in unmodified, unmolested condition. So we've got basically a leftover C6 with less than 20,000 miles and a manual gearbox. This car should be a no-brainer. Cars and bids, while they run just a fraction of the cars that Bring a Trailer does, typically, JP, we see them run their cars with outstanding viewership and watchers and engagement. This particular car did not fare that well. Before I get to the result, I just want to talk about these numbers for a second, JP, because Lucas had pointed it out while we were reviewing it. In the end, this car only got 11 bids. It only got 13 comments, and it only had 5,122 views. That is extraordinarily poor, especially for cars and bids, where we normally see their cars do really well. So it really goes to show you that, even though it's an honest listing with just sort of average photography, this car, more than just about any other, deserved something that would really grab people's attention, and a seller who knew how to engage and push the listing, which clearly did not happen here. And if you are considering selling your car, you can always hire the Bid Nerds. We can do that for you. That last SC I ran, JP, had 17,000 views in the end, which is just amazing on BAT, where they run 160 cars a day. John, our friends over at Classic.com tell us that a C6 Corvette with a stick shift is a $24,000 car in the secondary market. I thought this car, with poor engagement, would still hammer for $27,000 when it was all said and done. JP, you went with Classic's average, borrowing their number for your own bid at $24,000 even. And Myron Vernus, who joined us as third nerd on the last show, his bid just underneath you at $23,000 even. So, Alex, are you a Corvette guy? Do you believe in the domestic car, American pushrod V8 with a manual transmission? And what would put a number on this C6 with low miles, but on cars and bids, which is, completely different platform?
Love Corvettes. I own a Callaway B2K twin turbo C4 with a manual. Cool cars.
Rad.
Yeah.
Rad. That's so cool.
I don't put any value on the low mileage on this C6 because they're all low mileage. They were nobody's primary car, and this one's red over black, which is just lame. I say it hammered at 22.
22. And look at that. It's Alex. Got to have him back all the time. He can run the show. JP, our car hammered for $22,503. Is 503 the brake horsepower? No, that's a Z06 has 503 horsepower. Our car sold on 43. No, am I doing that right? Yeah, 43. Wait, hold on a second.
Nope.
Wrong bid. I read the wrong result. Forgive me, nerder. I haven't made that mistake. I haven't made that mistake before, ever, like in 5 years. Our car hammered for $23,500, meaning Myron was the one that was the closest to this. Actually, right between you and Myron. It failed to sell on just 11 bids. So there you go. It's hard to argue with Alex's take. Red over black. Snooze-a-palooza. Low miles on a C6. Yeah, it was nobody's primary car. Another great take. They're all expected to be low miles. The fact that this one doesn't look like it was beat to snot and modified in of itself is kind of cool, but not enough to pull 30 grand out of this car on auction heading into Thanksgiving. So JP, aside from the assets, what could the seller have done differently outside of hiring the bidder to run that listing for him?
He could have pulled his head out of his own butt. Look, this guy retired and bought this car and drove it. This probably was his regular driver, but he wasn't going to work anymore. So all he had to do was go to the Golden Corral and then back to the garage and then go to the store and get some new jorts and then back in the garage. This guy, this is the poster child for I know what I got guy, right? The real problem here isn't, like, I understand that guy. I don't even have a problem with it, right? He's kind of living in his own bubble. He doesn't really understand what the hell's going on. He thinks he's got a special car, even there's a gajillion of them. Every boomer got a red one with chrome wheels, right? The problem is Cars and Bids let this fool have a reserve higher than that. Why did they waste this poor guy's time? Why did they waste all of our time? There were clearly people, there weren't a ton of people bidding on this car, but there were a few. Someone would have bought this car, and the number that it got to is a reasonable number. This car should be in someone else's garage going and picking up jorts from now on. But it is. What do you think, Alex?
Let's ask Alex. Alex, your bid was 22. The car hammered for 23.5. Do you think he should have taken the money?
Oh, he should have taken the money. Absolutely. I mean, these cars, red, black. I mean, what could make it worse? Oh, wait, it has chrome wheels. That makes it worse. Chrome wheels. Yeah.
All right, guys, let us know what you think of the bet. Let's move on. What's the next car on the list? Boy, we had a lot of, let's just call it affordable cars on the last episode. This next one, I don't know. This car picked this one.
This car agitated JP more than anything I can remember in recent history. Lucas and I had more than one laugh on the text message after the show last week. Feast your eyes, Alex, on a 1988 Audi 5000 CS Turbo Quattro Avant with a 5-speed manual. No unintended acceleration here, thanks to the issuance of the gearbox. Listed out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. This car was running no reserve as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer with just 65,000 miles from new. This car ran on BAT in April of 2017. It ran again in May of 2019, and it ran again in November of 2020, each time bringing more money than the last. Our friends at Classic.com tell us that just an Audi 5000, whatever that platform was, that those cars on average in the secondary market bring $26,000 when they sell publicly. I thought this car had a chance to get to $16,000. JP was furious that I picked it, and not only did I pick it, but we covered it second in the order, which really made him angry.
Hold on, Alex. We covered this before the R5. All right, we know that viewership falls off at the end of every episode as the hour goes long. He thought that this stupid car would hold people onto the show more than the R5. What do you think of this thing? He's right. All right, tell us why. Why is that?
Yeah. I mean.
Tell us why.
These cars are awesome. Yeah, these cars are awesome. And, They were groundbreaking, both the aero styling, the flush glass, and then the quattro all-wheel drive, which is the first car that really mainstreamed all-wheel drive. Before this, it would have been an AMC Eagle. These cars are worth the attention they get. I'll bet it brought a lot of money, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Give us a number.
Yeah. What would be your bid on this one?
I'm thinking it might hit 20. And we'll go with 20. I think it could do 20 grand.
Yeah. 20's not a bad bid. JP's was 9, Myron's was 11. Our car hammered for $14,750 where it sold on 28 bids. So Myron, we'll just start with you because you have a strong take on the car. At $14,750, was that well bought?
Who's that question for?
That was
for you, Alex.
Yeah. Oh, you said Myron. Yeah. Absolutely well bought.
My
There's
bad.
money left in it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Very
well
cool.
bought.
There you go.
This car can be, jeez. I get a lot of hate in the comments on the last episode for ishing all over this thing. Apparently the nerd herd really likes this pile of crap. But I'm sorry, this car can totally be summed up by the drama in the comments. Look, people that like this car are the type of people that are going to be incensed at the idea that the seller removed one of the bolsters on the seat. And there were dozens and dozens of comments of people being upset that the seats were altered in some way. Finally, the seller, here, the seats, you guys tell me which bolsters were removed. The seller had to finally go, please chill out. They were professionally removed by an upholsterer shop for medical reasons. Nerve pain. Okay, look, that sums it up. That's the people that like this car, want this car. Totally makes sense. The nerve pain crowd is all over the Audi wagon with 3 pedals. What do you guys think of this geriatric mobile? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on. What's the next car on the list? All right. Just send me the hate, guys. Send me the hate.
Last car from the last show, we selected specifically for Myron something really fun, a 1969 Opel GT with a 1.9 liter motor. This has a 5-speed manual transmission. We do not cover a lot of Opels or GTs on the show, but this has to be one of the nicest one I've ever seen, showing 29,000 miles on Bring a Trailer out of Dripping Springs, Texas. Here's your Corvette left in the dryer for 2 hours too long. 13-inch little steel wheels, red line tires. This car is it looks like a paperweight. It's so damn cute. Our friends at classic.com tell us that the Opel GT brings $14,000 in the secondary market. I thought our car would be lucky to get to 11. JP came in at $9,969, and Myron took the real estate underneath him with a bid of $9,500. Alex, what do you think of the Opel GT? Put a bid on this car, and we'll go to commercial break.
Stunning, beautiful cars. Unfortunately, terrible to drive. I say this one still brings 13 because it's so nice.
13. So he's the high man, and you would have won. Are you sitting down, Alex? Because this car sold for $22,503. The seller laughing all the way to the bank. 43 bids, JP. They fought over this thing, and the seller is the winner here. Absolutely well sold. $22,500 for a car that is going nowhere is horrendously overpaid for, in my opinion. Alex, would you care to argue with that take?
Seeing how nice it is, he's probably got $100,000 into making it this nice, unless it's original, in which case you can't duplicate it anyway. So no, I think it's probably well bought at that number.
Wow.
Yeah,
if you want one, if you don't want one, it doesn't matter. But if you want one, go find another.
Yeah, exactly.
In the last 15 minutes, this thing went from $7,100 to the 22 and change. So there were people that were really excited about it. The thing that was funny in the comments that I thought was like how many people were chiming in about how, oh yeah, I've got 4 of these, I've got 2 of these, I've got 5 of these. Yeah. So everybody, you have to have 4 or 5 of them in order to have enough parts to keep one going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One that's not rusted, and then 3 that are on cinder blocks for parts. As a guy who loves Fiat 124 coupes, the parts car, which looks terrible, always runs better than the main car.
All right, guys, crack open a can of Hippie Sips, and let's go to a commercial break real quick. We'll be right back. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, guys, we are back. I am looking at a can of Hippie Sips right here. This is the only one we have. We're out. You know why we're out? It's because we didn't sell them. We were giving them away at our big party here at our SEMA kickoff event, the Hippie Sips. These guys are totally redefining social drinking with infused organic beverages. Their mission is to bring health to the party with flavorful drinks you can feel good about. Check out hippiesips.com. Everyone was raving over them though. I don't know. We had probably a case of them. They're all gone. This is the only one. This is the only one we got. So JB, send us another case. All right, guys, it is time for predictions. Let's get after it. Michael D, what's the first car on the list?
All right, JP, a car that somehow I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't share everyone's enthusiasm for. Feast your eyes on this 1983 Porsche 911 SC Cabriolet that has been transformed into a slant nose conversion with a 3.3 liter turbocharged motor. Our car, let's see, I'm trying to see how many gears are in the gearbox. We'll have to come back to the transmission because I'm not seeing it. It's four speed. So it's also got a 4-speed. So they have now literally transformed this car essentially into a M505 930 convertible, which it's technically not. So very interesting car, very interesting conversion. Lucas said that the seller of this car is doing a really excellent job, very easy to talk to, and apparently has really stand up in the comments. Lucas said something to the effect of, I would buy anything from this person, who I think he said was a lady, but I didn't read my notes enough to memorize them before we went on the air. This car is an alumni listing. JP, this car having transacted back in the summer of 2022 for $86,000. And at that time, it had some 993 wheels. And then it transacted a second time back in January of 2024 for $87,005 with the roof wheels that appear to be on it now. So this car is a looker from the outside. JP, I'm just going to bit candidly, the seats, what they've done with the seats, I'm not feeling it. I would have liked the original sports seats in there. The Pepita seats, don't do it for me. I'm just not into it. And the steering wheel, like the Monte Carlo Momo,
that's the same wheel. But that's the same wheel that was in it before.
Yeah. But it's just like, like as you bring the car to market, what can you do to make it look better? I don't feel like as it's come to market this time, it looks better than it did than when he bought it. And that's interesting to me. I don't know. So I'm not feeling this car, and my bid will reflect that when we get to it. Now, I imagine the performance is outstanding. It's a very cool car. A turbo, a real M505 930 cab with the boxed rockers and the whole thing would be, probably $175,000 to $200,000 conversation with fair mileage. This car looks to be in very good condition and has decent provenance, selling between $85,000 and $90,000 twice over the last handful of years. But as it comes to market, the seats and the assets aren't doing it for me. It's the first time they're trying to sell the car in the fall with the holidays. Like, we're right on the cusp of the holidays. I think that this seller is in for an eye-opening lesson on how not to sell a convertible Frankenstein car. That's my take. I want to like this car, but I don't. And it's not because it's convertible. Don't get me wrong, as I'm on a panel full of absolute non-cabriophobes. JP, I send it to you. I'm skeptical. Where are you at?
Yeah, you got to look. Here's the assets from the last listing. This car looked so much better. Yeah, last time around. Holy cow, this car is just gorgeous. But in the photos that these guys have on the new ad, I mean, it frankly just looks terrible. I mean, this is just, everything is wrong about this new listing. Sorry, guys, I was supposed to have the picture up. So there's the new listing, right? They've got the front wheels turned the wrong way. They've got shadows. They're just shooting it in their driveway. And here's the old listing. I mean, the golden hour, the wheels are turned the correct way. Everything is just you want to be in this car. This car is a Hollywood dream. This car exists because of the movies and because of the way Hollywood used to make cars romantic. You watched Miami Vice, you watched True Romance. Whoever had this car as a Targa saw those movies and was like, you know what? I'm breaking out the Sawzall. I'm chopping off the Targa. I'm making it a convertible. I'm going to keep going with that Sawzall. I'm going to cut the bug eyes off. And they just went for it, right? Because they were chasing that romantic dream. And there was a time where that was cost effective. Nowadays, everyone, instead of like forward dating, everyone backdates. Everyone wants their cars to look like a 60s long hood or something like that. But things have changed. This car really is a stunner, or at least has the potential to be when you look at the old ad versus the new. What do you think of this listing, and what do you think of this car, Alex?
Well, can we just take a minute first and say whether or not I love the Monte Carlo, thank God it's not another Momo Prototipo on a 911. Like, at least it's period correct for the car, so I can, when these cars were new, a Monte Carlo was typical. Typically on a red car, it would be a red leather Monte Carlo, but I can countenance the black. But the rest of the car is a mixed metaphor. The Pepita fabric wasn't a thing on 930s, slant nose or not. This car has Carrera RS lightweight door panels. It's like a generation removed from what this car is pretending to be. I don't hate it because it's convertible. I hate it because a lot of stuff doesn't seem to fit right. Looking at the upholstery is not done that great. The headlights don't fit very well. I don't like the upholstery. The roof wheels are okay. It would look better on stock wheels, black ones. I think the seller takes a hit. I'm surprised it ever brought that high into the 80s. And I think this is probably a $70,000 car today.
Oh, you don't have to give us a number just yet. We'll give you last bid. So what do you think, Deeb? What do you think it'll bring?
All right, JP. So I'm trying to see if Lucas was being facetious. So here's an interesting tidbit, JP. See if you can wrap your head around this. Our car closes tomorrow, which means it's been live for a week. There are a total of 17 comments. 15 of those 17 comments were made by the seller, which means the engagement is only with 3 other people. The seller has chosen to only upload a certain number of photos in the bucket, and then every other comment is a series of 12 uploaded photographs. In other words, instead of uploading all the photos prior to the car going live and making a great first impression over the course of the week, or at least over the first 24, 48 hours, they uploaded the photos in separate posts. And I don't know what we're doing here. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And now you're like littering the comment field with just this overbearing, like, hey, and another thing, and another thing, and another thing. It's like Columbo won't shut up. And again, just the assets and the time of year this car was in trouble. But the way that this listing is being handled is unorthodox. And I don't see any like genius or any rhyme or reason to what they're doing, that the unorthodox is going to inspire some sort of inspiration and get like all the money for this car at a weird time of year. In fact, the tea leaves would suggest quite the opposite. So JP, with a day to go, our car closing tomorrow, middle of the day, we are currently sitting at just $25,000. And so the question is, do we think this car is going to get 50, basically 200% of the bid at the close of auction tomorrow? I'm going to just go out right away and say no effing way. John, our friends at classic.com tell us that an ordinary SC cab, non-modified, would be a $53,000 conversation in the secondary market on average. I should have grabbed M505 Turbo cab number, which I didn't. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't get there. JP, we're still sitting at 25 grand. Our comps are at 86 and 87 respectively over the last 4 years. Initially, I put 45. Then when I saw the comps, I was thinking 65. I'm going to change my bid one last time. My final bid to you, JP, is $55,930 at Hammer. And I'm going to say that if it gets to my number, it's a no sale. I'm sure this person is hoping to get, into that range that Alex is thinking in the 70s. But I bet Alex reconsiders his bid before he goes live and changes his bid, because I don't think this has any chance to get to 70 grand. So 55,930 and an FTS at my number. JP, what's your number?
Yeah, that's a good bid. The seller did a lot of work to this car that you don't see. A lot of like little stuff. If you look in those comments, there's just like buttoning up control arm bushings and, you know, little doodads and stuff like that. So it just seems like they spent a lot of time perfecting little things that just aren't going to matter and messing things up that are, like the Pepita seats and stuff. You know, I actually really like the roof wheels, but whatever. I think in the other set of photos, I think they look fantastic. Would it look better with black Fuchs? I don't know. Maybe. It's tough to argue against roof wheels, but the door panel thing, the original door panels were probably toast. So it's a hell of a lot easier to just put RS door panels in than it is sourcing original, black door panels with the handles and the pockets that aren't sagging and looking like crap. So I kind of get that. And clearly this car has sold in the 80s in the past. So it's not unreasonable to basically leave those things kind of the way they are. I don't know why they changed the seats. But that said, I'm with you, Deep. I think it's gonna be tough. This is gonna be a Monday sale. Are people gonna be opening up their wallets? I'm always scared about the news cycle on a Monday morning. What's on Twitter when you wake up? I'm going to say 59, 930. I'm going to go over you because this car does
over me.
Yeah,
wow.
it is still a turbo. This is still a 930 turbo powertrain. That's worth quite a bit by itself. Never mind the fact that the car is actually buttoned up and drives great. It has some styling issues that probably wouldn't be that. How hard would it be? You know how much those roof wheels are because we know they bought them on BAT. You could sell those for $6 or $7 and you get yourself a set of Fuchs for $4. So maybe you come out ahead. Alex, what do you think now?
I think if they got 70, it might sell because BAT's going to be pretty aggressive with the reserve. It probably doesn't get there. I'm still going to go above you guys and say it gets into the 60s, but let's say 61 and no sale then.
There you go. All right. Good bid.
There you go.
For context, Alex, I'm the eternal optimist, and my partner is typically the curmudgeon one. So anytime his bid is higher than mine, everybody in the nerd is like, whoa, what is happening? What is going on with the world? So we'll see what happens. This will be an interesting result.
Yeah, from what Lucas, our bid turn, saying is that this seller is a crazy person. He puts tons of money into his cars and then sells them. You definitely want this guy's car after he buys it because he fixes everything. All right. Do us a solid if you're in the nerd herd. Go on to the auction and say you saw the car on Bid Nerds. Get in there, spread the word. Let's grow the herd, and then also make sure you hit that thumbs up and like if you haven't done it already. Dee, before we get to the next car, I wanted to shout out to Aaron Water, the purveyor of all of our cool. We've got merch. If you guys haven't bought yourself a hat. Or here, I'll pull it up on the screen here. If you haven't got yourself a hat or a T-shirt or a flask or a poster, we've got all those things on the merch site at Aaron Water. And she just opened up her shop here in the Container Park. She is an exclusive seller of Hoursmith watches. You can get a watch from Hoursmiths right here in Las Vegas. I think she's got a couple of fancy Panerais right now that you guys might want to check out. So let us know if you guys are looking for a watch, and if you need a hat or something like that, definitely check out the site. All right, Deeb, what's the next car on the list?
This is going to be a very interesting listing, JP. I selected just because it looked pretty, and then after we selected it, Lucas did some research, and this car has an interesting history on Bring a Trailer. Check out a 2003 Lotus Esprit with the V8, the twin-turbo V8. This is one of the Series 4 cars, the last kind of generation of the car. Our car is listed on Bring a Trailer as an alumni listing showing just 2,700 miles from new out of Chesterfield, Missouri. Now, here's where it just immediately gets interesting, JP. This car ran previously on Bring a Trailer where it sold in June of 2023. So that's essentially 2 summers ago, JP. Guess what it sold for back then? You're right. Exactly. $220,000 on 60 bids. And the winning bidder is a company, I assume, or maybe a little investment. A couple of guys put a little package together called NGP Investments. NGP I've got some bad news for you. You guys overspent on a British sports car in the United States, and you are not going to get that money out of it. Now, assuming that NGP is the seller here and that World Class Motor Cars is the agency they use to bring the car to market, I hope World Class Motor Cars did a really, really good job of setting their expectations correctly, because we are not going to repeat that result ever again. Maybe for any Lotus Esprit, unless James Bond drove it himself. So, JP, our car has come back to market. This is a car that, while it got some drivetrain upgrades, the cosmetic styling basically remained the same. And this was one of those typically, difficult to drive. The steering wheel is offset to the right on a, 80s supercar kind of thing. Ran originally with a normally aspirated 4-cylinder motor. Then it got turbocharging. Then it evolved a little bit from there. And then finally, to try and keep up with the, NSX and the 348, they decided to put a V8 and twin turbos on it. But at that time, this car had kind of run its course. This car looks beautiful today, JP. I think it's a really pretty car, despite being bright yellow. I kind of dig it, but I don't dig it for 220 grand. That was a huge mistake by those guys. They overpaid, and they are about to take an ice cold bath. So, JP, super cool car, very interesting provenance. But in this case, their own comparable sale of this exact car 2 summers ago is, I don't think, going to do anything to help the result this time around. And again, why are we trying to sell this car? Here's all these very cool collectible cars. Why didn't you run it this summer? Why did you wait till we're staring turkeys in the face? So there you go.
This car being the very, very last of the Esprit. This last year, you look at the interior, and it's still got all the bits from a bunch of other parts bins, but it looks so much better than the year before. The gauge hood and everything like that, if they had made the interior look like this on all of the V8 ones, they probably would have sold literally 100% more of these cars, because the old interior on these with the big square dashboard on all the other ones is hideous. That said, it's still not worth another $150,000 over what these usually go for. This engine is a great engine. It should have 550 horsepower, but they had to detune it down to 350 because they were stuck. They spent all the money developing the engine for this car, but they were stuck. They were saddled with a little Renault shitty little transmission that couldn't handle all the power. So these cars were neutered from the beginning, which kind of sounds like a Hollywood movie, doesn't it? Alex, what do you think of this car?
I mean, so I'm a big Esprit fan. I actually, to drive, I prefer the Stevens-bodied 4-cylinder cars in SE or S4. These V8s, that said, they bring a premium in the market, and these final V8s bring a huge premium, despite the Pontiac steering wheel, which is horrific. I think 220 was an unrepeatable sale. But this car has a lot going for it. Super low mileage, and there are a few of them out there, and it's good colors. It's not red. They show well in yellow. I think it gets closer than
hold on. We'll give you.
Yeah, I'm not saying a number. I'm just saying.
Okay. I just didn't want to give you a chance, man. Yeah. You get the last bid, but you think it's going to do well. All right, Deeb, what do you think it's going to bring?
All right, JP. As you astutely noted, this car was the first, essentially the first remake of what would be the final edition of the car. As such, in this year, what year are we talking about? 2003, Lotus only sold 56 of these final editions in the United States this year. So this car is one of 56, and again, has ridiculous, super low collectible miles. By that rationale, our car is currently sitting at just $65,000, and it has 3 days to go until it closes. JP, even if it doubles from where it's at right now, that is basically only half of what it sold for last time, basically, loosely, or at least $100,000 less. So I'm really struggling with this one. I don't think it's going to double. Initially, I thought this car would only hammer at 84,000, but it does have 3 days to go. And it does have that comp, which maybe does help it just a teeny bit. Even though I don't think it's going to help it get to 220, it might help it get over 100. So, JP, I'm going to do just that. I'm just going to take a really vanilla bid and go $100,000 at hammer. I have no idea how realistic the seller is. Are they just letting go of the car and they're going to sell it no matter what? Or are they holding out for 150 or something closer to 200, which may never come, certainly not at BAT or certainly not in the fall. So 100 grand, I'm going to say probably a no sale at that number. JP, what is your bid for this Lotus?
I don't know. You're harping on this fall thing. It's like Thanksgiving's tomorrow or something like that. That's
over.
Weeks away. I think people are still. I mean, I think people are getting cooped up and they're thinking about the car that they want for spring, and they got nothing else to do. No, I don't think it's going to get 220, but I do think it's going to get up there. I think it's going to do. I'm going to go 145. I don't think it sells at that. I think the seller keeps it. Do you think it's going to do even better, Alex, or am I crazy?
I think it'll do even better. I still think it's a no sale. Clearly, somebody bought this with the idea it was an investment or a decent flip, so I can't see them taking that big a haircut. So I'll say no sale at 160.
Solid.
That's a great
bid.
We'll see.
I mean, would you look? This car isn't nearly as good of a driver as like a brand spanking new Emira. But Emirs are going for 100 grand. This car's got to be worth more than. What do you think of this car compared to an Emira, Alex?
Oh God, I'd take this car all day long. I just have no interest in Emira. It's big, it's heavy, it's bloated. Like, it might be light for a car, but it's terribly bloated for a Lotus.
For a Lotus. There you go. Yeah, all right, guys. What do you think of the Lotus? Go on to the auction and make sure in the comments you say that you saw this car on Bid Nerds. Deeb, I'll give you the last word, and then you can introduce the next car.
I'll take this car over the new Jaguar.
Is there a new Jaguar? I don't think there is. All right.
There is.
What's the next car?
All right, JP.
Well, hold on. Do you have a scoop? Do you have breaking news? Is there a new Jag?
Whatever that Jag they're making.
Yeah, but that doesn't actually exist, does it? I don't think those are even ever going to hit the floor. All right, we've got to get through these next two cars pretty quick. What do we got? What's the next two?
All right, I selected this one for you, JP. Feast your eyes on a 1988 Toyota MR2 Supercharged with a 5-speed manual transmission, and as JP astutely pointed out, we have a supercharger and T-tops, which we initially thought were mutually exclusive. Our car is listed by the good folks at 911R out of Portland, Oregon, showing just 20,000 miles. And JP, I do not remember this color on the MR2. That's how rare it is. I'm sure I saw it, but as we've seen them come back to market and we celebrate them as a young timer, they're almost inevitably red, and then a couple are white and a couple are black and sometimes silver. But man, the dark blue kind of looks cool all these years later. This looks like one of the best of the best. The big question is where will the final hammer price be? JP, I'm going to jump right into this because of the time. Classic.com tells us that the supercharged MR2 with a manual transmission is a $26,000 conversation in the secondary market. Our car is currently sitting at $18,500. That comes to us by way of 6 bids, and it has 2 days to go until it closes. It is also worth noting, JP, this car is running no reserve, which I think will help it in the end. For all of those reasons and the fact that it's dark blue, JP, I think this car is going to hammer for $30,000. That is my bid. JP, what do you think of the MR2 in dark blue, and what's your bid on it?
I love this thing. I'm so excited about a T-top little car. Hollywood has ruined everything. Like I said before, the car manufacturers will never make, I would love to see them bring the MR2 back. I want to see a remake, but they'll just make it like, Snow White or something like that, or Captain Marvel. It'll just be a terrible remake. So don't do that. Forget I said that. Forget Toyota that I wanted a remake of this one. You'll screw it up just like they did the Supra. This car is gorgeous. I want to drive it. I want to get behind the wheel. I'm going to go over you, Deeb. Not by much. I'm going to go $32,000 and hand it off to Alex. What do you think?
The blue I remember on the MR2s was the bright blue, very much like they offered on IROX and on Chrysler Conquest. Would prefer it in the bright blue, but the dark blue is nice. I think dark blue with the very dark interior isn't great, but it's okay. I still think this car brings all the money with such low mileage, and being presented by 911R, I'll say 33.
33, great bid.
That's a tight bunch of bids we got right there. All right,
he's gonna win. Alex,
dang it! I should have got higher. Should have gone
Yeah.
higher. I should have made him bid first. Man, what I was giving him an advantage.
It's running no reserve too, so I think that's gonna help. And they always make a great driving videos. And I think little MR2s are having a moment, JP. So there you go.
I'm gonna have to go get
All right,
one.
we got time for one more?
Yeah, let's do it real quick.
All right, JP, there is a stunning 1993 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 that is also, as a 93, and a 40th anniversary model coming in that really rare color that was the 40th anniversary color, if I can find it here in the listing, ruby red metallic paint with also ruby red matching leather interior. The big news here, JP, is not just that it's a ZR1 and a 40th anniversary, but our car has just 203 miles. We'll have to come back to Alex to see if he'll stand on his take when he says they all have low miles. Because, most guys that do get a ZR1 just enjoy driving it. The ZR1s tend to have a few miles on them. But this car seems to tick all the collectible boxes for your, boomer Corvette collector. And I just think this is a really cool car. I love the colorway, and the low miles, I thought, might make the result of this one particularly interesting. JP Classic tells us that a ZR1 from that era is a $40,000 car in the market. This car is currently sitting at $59,000 already with 3 days to go until it closes. I really want to bid in the 80s on this car, but we haven't seen Corvettes bring good money, and this is about as collectible a C4 as there could possibly be. And I just this car to me should be $100,000, but I feel like, again, this fall listing and poor assets, I'm just not believing that this one is going to get that result. My tempered bid, JP, to you is $78,000 at Hammer. I think it'll sell for that number, but I feel like the seller may have left up to $22,000 on the table. JP, what is your bid?
Man, that's more than a C8, a regular C8, not a ZR1.
Right.
But I'm with you. It's kind of like the Admira versus the Esprit. I would way rather have this car than any new Corvette. Talk about a Disneyfied Star Wars. What they've done to the Corvette is just an atrocity as far as I'm concerned. This car is gorgeous. Your bid was what? What was it?
$78,000.
Oh, am I going to go over that? Yeah, screw it. I'm going nuts. It's the end of the show. I'll go $80,000. Alex, what do you think?
This car ticks all the boxes. It's low mileage, even for a ZR1, even though they're all low mileage. This is another level. The anniversary 93, 94, 95 also have 405 horsepower, more than the earlier cars.
Yes. It's a dot two, right? Yeah,
right. So this car just ticks all the boxes. The 40th anniversary 01, super low mileage. I'm going to say 83. I think it gets there.
Dang it. He's just killing us. He's like, I go over Deeb, and he takes just a little over. I'm screwed this week.
If this was a 95 with the same mileage in the dark purple metallic over tan, it's $100,000, $120,000 car. So it's not that cool, but it's close.
It's really cool.
I like interior brings more money because it goes better with the pleated beige shorts. That's for sure. All right, there it is, guys. That is a show. Alex, thanks for joining us. Thanks for screwing me on the bids here. I'm sure you're going to sweep next week. Deeb, any last word before we get out of here?
No, Alex, where can they find you? Where can they find the Stray Light collection? You got a great IG, and what else do you do?
It's only on Instagram, the Stray Light collection. Other than that, you can come see us on lots of car shows and lots of rallies. We're at all the big ones. We were at Greenwich this year and Monterey, and we hit all the major events.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great to have you.
We will see all of you on. You're welcome, Alex. We will see all of you on Wednesday, and there it is. See you guys. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if bid